Now recognize the gentlelady from Connecticut, Ms. DeLauro, for the purpose of an amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk and ask unanimous consent that the reading of the amendment be dispensed with.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with, and the gentlelady is recognized for remarks on her amendment.
I'm proud to submit this amendment, which would restore funding for the state revolving funds to the fiscal year 2025 enacted level. The American people are demanding help with the cost of living. That is what we should be focusing on this committee, but instead the majority has chosen to cut the funding that literally helps our communities maintain safe, clean drinking water. All our states rely on the revolving funds to help finance water infrastructure projects, which are often time and capital intensive. Yet the bill before us eviscerates this funding to the states by nearly $2 billion, or 62%. This near-complete withdrawal of federal support for water infrastructure means that local governments, already struggling for cash due to President Trump's illegal freezes of so many grants and loan programs, will have to bear the brunt of financing expensive water safety and treatment projects. Clean water should be available for all Americans, and the state revolving funds help achieve that mission. Yet the majority's bill is cutting these funds so deeply and so recklessly that even their own communities will be deeply harmed. In Oklahoma, there will be a $10 million cut, from nearly $16 million down to barely $6 million. In Idaho, will receive a $7 million cut, from nearly $11 million down to $4 million. This will devastate the ability of state and local governments to finance needed projects. As Jeff Walker, former executive administrator of the Texas Water Development Board, said, and I quote, "More than half of clean water SRF, state revolving funds, subsidized loans, 55%, are provided to communities with populations of less than 3,500, many of whom can't qualify or will pay higher interest rates in the municipal bond and private lending markets. Without financing from the clean water SRFs, these communities are more likely to experience unreliable household wastewater services and poor water quality, which can result in exposure to deadly and debilitating waterborne diseases that are preventable," end quote. The EPA currently estimates that our nation's drinking water and wastewater systems will face over $1.2 trillion in capital improvements needs over the next 20 years, just to maintain current levels of service and safety. Without federal support, these costs get passed on to the American people, either through utility bills, property or sales taxes, or cuts to other local government services. Americans voted to lower the cost of living, not to spike their water and tax bills. Yet, that is exactly what the majority is forcing on our communities. This is something we should all be able to agree on. Water, food, and shelter are bare necessities. Every single person here knows the importance of safe drinking water. Every person here should be demanding action if something went wrong with our community's water supply. Failing septic systems and inadequate wastewater treatment are a matter of life and death. They can lead to the contamination of drinking water sources with pathogens like E. coli and other microorganisms causing waterborne diseases. That is what the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund is for. It is for places like Stockton, Pennsylvania, which had the state's worst water quality until it received funding to install a new water distribution line and prevent contamination of Giardia, bacteria, and iron in its whole system. It is for preventing tragedies like the one in Flint, Michigan, where the city tried to update its water system, but corroded pipes from the new drinking water source exposed nearly 9,000 children to lead contamination for 18 months. And is for protecting places like Lake Washington Ship Canal, Salmon Bay, Lake Union in Seattle, which received $165.3 million in low-interest loans to help prevent as much as 75 million gallons annually of polluted stormwater carrying toxins such as motor oil, metals, and pesticides directly into these crucial waterways. I know many of us are also focused on securing funding for our districts through community projects. These things should not be in competition with each other. CPF funding is not the same as the state revolving funds. It should not come at the expense of the state revolving funds. When Democrats controlled the House, we were able to produce bills that did both, that did not ask our constituents to choose between clean water and community projects. The American people are expecting us to deliver both once again. Safe drinking water should not be a partisan issue. This should be the bare minimum. We do not have to stage this trade-off between community projects and water projects. This is a choice, just like the majority's choice to add $3.4 trillion to the deficit to finance tax breaks for the billionaires and biggest corporations. I'm proud to propose this amendment, urge my colleagues to support it as well. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you, gentlelady. The gentleman from Idaho, Mr. Simpson, is recognized to respond to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in opposition to the amendment. The amount provided to the states in this bill is the same amount provided to the states in FY25 House bill when accounting for community project funding amounts. The SRFs also received an additional supplemental funding through the infrastructure bill. In FY26 alone, they will each receive $2.6 billion in supplemental funding. Over the 5 years of the infrastructure bill, the SRFs will have received $11.7 billion in supplemental funding. But the main reason I oppose this is because without an offset, this amendment causes the bill to exceed our committee-approved 302B. So I would oppose this amendment and hope my colleagues would oppose it also.
Thank you, gentlemen. The gentlelady from Maine, Ms. Pingree, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much for yielding the time. As you've heard, this bill cuts, this amendment would restore the funding for clean water and clean drinking water and state revolving funds because they are already cut by more than 60% compared to FY25. As we've already heard in some of the opening remarks and from the ranking member DeLauro, almost every one of our states and communities is looking for funding to help deliver safe drinking water, wastewater treatment, and stormwater management. This is a need that spans all of our states and all of our communities. And with extreme weather or aging infrastructure, the need is greater than ever. Reducing this funding to the states threatens the viability of our water infrastructure projects, forcing states to either delay these critical upgrades or shift the cost to ratepayers. This would reduce vital opportunities to have clean drinking water, to have wastewater systems that are high functioning, and making sure that our constituents are not being exposed to contaminants like PFAS and lead. Our state environmental agencies are already underfunded and struggling to bear the costs of permitting, which is vitally needed for economic development. The idea that we're going to make a cut in this bill, and this is where we would go, 60% compared to what we did in FY25, is somewhat unthinkable to me. This is a need that's not going to go away. This is not a partisan need. This is something that we all recognize is critically important. And for most of us, our states or local communities don't have the ready funds to do this necessary work. So when we withdraw these federal funds, we're going to put a burden either on our states or our communities in places that they have no ability to do. And because of what we've already done in the Big Ugly Bill and the tax benefits we've given to billionaires and the cuts we're already planning to make in Medicaid and SNAP benefits, our states will be already strained. And this is yet one more cost we're going to be asking them to bear. And if our states can't bear the cost, then it's our local communities and our local ratepayers who will have to bear the cost. So all we are doing here is not saying this is not a need, this is not something that Congress has to deal with. We're just saying, let's ignore this and let somebody else pay for it. But this is a vital service. This is clean water. This is making sure people are free from toxics in their environment. This is making sure our communities are clean and healthy. I oppose this cut. I support this amendment, and I encourage my colleagues to support it as well. I yield back.
Thank you, gentlelady. Gentlelady from Ohio, Ms. Capter, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I rise in strong support of my friend Ranking Member DeLauro's amendment and to increase funding for water infrastructure in our country. Under the majority's bill, Ohio would receive $71 million less than last year. That is a 62% cut, a 62% cut for water infrastructure in Ohio. I'm privileged to have included a community project in this bill for the city of Defiance in my district. It is one of many, many communities that need water infrastructure. but can't find the funding to make necessary upgrades and keep services affordable for the people that live there. Projects like this one should supplement rather than compete with the state revolving fund. Everybody knows the state revolving funds don't have enough money in them at a time when prices are rising everywhere and state revolving funds are short in dollars to meet the rising needs. America's infrastructure is aging, folks, and we should be exploring ways to invest more heavily in places like Defiance. The majority's cuts to water infrastructure funding will fall hardest on communities like those in areas of northern Ohio that I represent, many of which are small, rural, and low income. They don't have much recourse to find outside funding. As I said in my opening statement, the water bills for consumers are going up, 37% for drinking water, 67% for wastewater since 2008. So now is absolutely not the time for cuts. I don't know where Mr. Vogt lives or exists, but if he doesn't see this, he's quite short-sighted. The reduction that the majority is proposing will increase the public health risks, slow economic growth, and undermine the infrastructure progress that we've made thus far at a time when resilience is critical to face increases in natural disasters that are happening. Several cities in our district have accrued serious water infrastructure debts as they have struggled to meet EPA's mandates for clean water, and those mandates are important. Slowly, Lake Erie, which we depend on for life, is becoming cleaner, barely, because of what we've been able to do to date, but they've come at great cost. We owe it to our cities to help them meet these obligations. The debt of our communities has led to increased prices for families that hinder their ability to invest in economic growth. Federal funds should help lift this burden so that instead local communities can focus their efforts on building new housing and developing new commercial areas instead of just paying off environmental debt. I urge my colleagues to support this life-sustaining amendment, keep America's drinking water safe, reliable, and affordable. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank you, gentlelady. Gentlelady from Florida, Ms. Wasserman Schultz, recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in strong support of the amendment offered by Ranking Member DeLauro to restore critical funding to the EPA's state revolving funds for drinking water and wastewater infrastructure. This bill, as written, slashes the SRFs by a staggering $1.7 billion, a 62% cut from last year's level. That is unconscionable. Clean water is not a luxury. It is a necessity. And ensuring affordable, safe water is one of our most basic responsibilities. These programs are the backbone of a successful federal, state, local partnership. They help communities all over the country finance essential projects by removing lead pipes, upgrading failing sewage systems, separating combined sewers, and keeping drinking water safe. Cutting them at this scale doesn't just leave local governments holding the bag. It leaves every ratepayer and every family paying more, and it risks their health. And this isn't hypothetical. These needs are real. And they are in the districts of members on this committee, both Republican and Democratic. Cities like Albany, Georgia, have struggled to find federal dollars to separate its combined sewer system. Albany has already spent more than $100 million into separating its combined sewer system, but they need more help. And yes, Mr. Bishop, I know how to pronounce Albany. And now House Republicans are slashing funding for clean water projects by 62%, leaving cities like Albany to either raise rates on their residents or fall even further behind. Working families across the country didn't create this crisis, but Republicans are asking them to pay for it, while billionaires and polluters get a free pass. Chairman Womack, I have tremendous respect for you. You represent the city of Fort Smith in Arkansas's 3rd Congressional District. Fort Smith agreed to spend more than $200 million over 12 years to upgrade its sewer collection and treatment. The original decree deadline is set for 2027, but the city is currently seeking a formal extension to 2036. Sewer rates jumped by 176% between 2015 and 2017 in Fort Smith to pay for this work. And that's when we were fully funding these revolving funds. Where will Fort Smith come up with these dollars to make these necessary fixes when we cut the only federal funds available to them? The only answer is raising utility rates. In Virginia's 6th District, Mr. Klein, Roanoke, and Salem are rebuilding old sewer infrastructure under federal consent orders. The cities need to repair cracked pipes, remove stormwater infiltration, and stop raw sewage from spilling into our rivers. These are precisely the projects SRFs are built to fund. Cutting SRF funding leaves these cities with only two cruel choices: crush local ratepayers with rate increases, or delay critical work and violate federal standards. The EPA estimates we face over $1.2 trillion in drinking water and wastewater needs in the next 2 decades. But this bill guts the very resources communities need to meet that challenge. And beyond protecting public health and the environment, investing in water infrastructure also creates jobs. Nearly 16 good-paying American jobs for every $1 million invested, with ripple effects throughout the economy. We should do more, not less, to ensure every community has clean water, reliable infrastructure, and affordable utility rates. We should be focusing on making life more affordable, not more expensive, for the people that we represent, and we should stand with our colleagues' constituents in Arkansas, Georgia, Virginia, and across America who are depending on us to get this right. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment and protect our communities, economy, and our water, and I yield back. Thank you very much.
Thank the gentlelady. Gentleman from Y is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in very strong support of the ranking member's amendment. And let's be very clear, crystal clear. The majority's proposed reduction of $1.7 billion from the Clean Water State Revolving Fund and the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund is a direct attack on two of our nation's absolute bedrock public health laws. The Federal Water Pollution Control Act, or the Clean Water Act of 1972, which was passed overwhelmingly on a bipartisan basis, vetoed by President Nixon, and overridden on a bipartisan basis by this Congress, a great demonstration of Congress's performance of its actual constitutional duties. And the Safe Drinking Water Act of 1974, passed by overwhelming bipartisan majorities and signed by a Republican president, President Ford. These critical laws address the lack then of one of the most critical necessities of life, clean and safe drinking water. Now, we tend to take this for granted today because these laws have been in place for over a half century. But back then, our public water drinking systems were anything but safe. There were cancer-causing chemicals in the water of New Orleans and Pittsburgh. There was lead contamination in Boston water pipes. There was viral and bacteriological contamination in smaller, more rural communities. And these cornerstone laws set basic nationwide standards for safe drinking water quality and oversaw public water systems to protect public health. And they gave state and county governments and other water systems the tools of compliance, because you can't just establish the rules and then fail to give people the tools of compliance. The tools of compliance were these revolving funds, which allowed capitalization grants to states to establish loan programs to finance drinking water improvement projects to comply. Absent these revolving funds, states and counties, especially smaller rural water systems, would simply not have the means to comply and deliver safe, clean drinking water. Now, these are not idle risks. My colleagues have already talked about the actual risks to clean and safe drinking water in many of the communities of our colleagues in the room here. But in my own state of Hawaii, for example, we have seen major risks to our safe and clean drinking water. We had a major crisis at Red Hill, where the Navy's fuel tanks leaked into the primary aquifer for the city of Honolulu, servicing hundreds of thousands of my constituents. Now, this committee has been very generous and very responsible in assisting with the recovery from Red Hill. But the needs of assuring the aquifers and the water supply of the city of Honolulu are not going to stop with Red Hill. They will last beyond this particular crisis. We have in Hawaii 38 priority drinking water projects, all funded or to be funded by these revolving funds. And the biggest problem with our clean and safe drinking water looms in front of us, and that is the crisis of PFAS, which is coming at us fast and furious, and for which we must prepare today including strengthening these funds. So with all of this half-century plus success with proven need, why slash these funds today? Why slash them by $1.7 billion? Well, I listened to some of the explanations by the chair. One possible explanation is that the states should actually step up, and by the way, the states means the ratepayers, the consumers. They should step up and pay this. The federal government should not have to shoulder these burdens anymore. Somehow this should be the responsibility of the states and the counties. That amounts to an unfunded federal mandate that is unfair to establish these rules, which are good rules, and then fail to provide the means of compliance. The chair says, well, the real reason here is that there is no offset for this restoration of $1.7 billion. You know what? I don't accept that for 1 second. It is you, by reducing the overall allocation to this bill, the majority, that have created this problem. I don't accept the responsibility of trying to comply with a reduction of 6% in our national environmental programs. And finally, I think I heard the chair say that somehow these funds are oversubscribed, that they're plentifully funded. And I don't buy that either. That is shorting these funds today, knowing that you will have a problem down the road that you must step up and fund it, and calling it fiscal responsibility. And you know what? You ceded the right to any claim of fiscal responsibility with your recent actions, including the reconciliation bill. With that, I urge adoption of this amendment, and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. Are there other members wishing to address the amendment? There's no further debate. The gentleman from Idaho is recognized for 1 minute to close. Oh, excuse me, this is your, sorry. Gentlelady from Connecticut. The gentlelady from Connecticut is recognized for 1 minute to close.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You know, in the richest country in the world, people in every state should have access to clean water. House Republicans are decimating the efforts to ensure our water is safe to drink or used to cook or to bathe. I don't care where people come from. They need access to clean drinking water. And if you take the amount of money that's the clean water and the drinking water revolving fund, we're talking about a cut of $1.7 billion. It's 62%. I refer you to the chart that I believe that everyone should have at their desk, which goes state by state to tell you what the cut will be. In Florida, $58 million cut. Georgia, 35. Illinois, 65. Pennsylvania, $61 million. Texas, $100 million. California, $146 million. You find the way to get those things paid for when this is a necessity for people, and it's in the midst of a cost of living crisis. The last thing American families should have to worry about is whether the water coming out of their tap is safe, whether their water bill is going to skyrocket because their city or county cannot afford the needed maintenance. We shouldn't be piling more costs on families who live paycheck to paycheck, and that is what this amendment intends to stop. I urge your support for the amendment, and I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady. The question's now on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from Connecticut. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. No. The opinion of the chair of the noes have it.
Recorded vote.
Recorded vote's been requested. Sufficient number of hands have been raised. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Adderholt. Mr. Adderholt, no. Mr. Aguilar. Mr. Aguilar, aye. Mr. Alford. Mr. Alford, no. Mr. Amadei. Mrs. Bice. Mrs. Bice, no. Mr. Bishop. Mr. Calvert. Mr. Calvert, no. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, no. Mr. Case. Mr. Case, aye. Mr. Siscomani. Mr. Klein. Mr. Cloud. Mr. Cloud, no. Mr. Clyburn. Mr. Clyde. Mr. Clyde, no. Mr. Cole.
No.
Mr. Cole, no. Mr. Cuellar. Mr. Cuellar, aye. Miss Dean. Miss Dean, aye. Miss DeLauro. Miss DeLauro, aye. Mr. Diaz-Balart. Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards, no. Mr. Elzey? Mr. Elzey, no. Ms. Escobar? Mr. Espaillat? Mr. Espaillat, aye. Mr. Fleischman? Mr. Fleischman, no. Ms. Frankel? Ms. Frankel, aye. Mr. Franklin? Mr. Franklin, no. Mr. Gonzalez? Mr. Gonzalez, no. Mr. Guest? Mr. Guest, no. Mr. Harder? Mr. Harder, aye. Dr. Harris? Dr. Harris, no. Mrs. Henson? Mrs. Henson, no. Mr. Hoyer? Mr. Hoyer, aye. Mr. Ivy? Mr. Ivy, aye. Mr. Joyce? Mr. Joyce, no. Ms. Capter? Ms. Capter, aye. Mr. LaLota? Ms. Lee? Ms. Lee, no. Ms. Letlow? Ms. Letlow, no. Mr. Levin? Mr. Levin, aye. Ms. Malloy? Ms. Malloy, no. Ms. McCullum? Ms. McCullum, aye. Ms. Ming? Ms. Ming, aye. Mr. Molinar? Mr. Molinar, no. Mr. Moore? Mr. Morelli? Mr. Mervan? Mr. Newhouse? Mr. Newhouse, no. Ms. Perez? Ms. Perez, aye. Ms. Pingree? Ms. Pingree, aye. Mr. Pocan? Mr. Pocan, aye. Mr. Quigley? Mr. Quigley, aye. Mr. Reschenthaler? Mr. Reschenthaler, no. Mr. Rogers? Mr. Rogers, no. Mr. Rutherford? Mr. Rutherford, no. Mr. Simpson? Mr. Simpson, no. Mr. Strong? Mr. Strong, no. Mrs. Torres? Mrs. Torres, aye. Miss Underwood? Miss Underwood, aye. Mr. Valadeo? Mr. Valadeo, no. Miss Wasserman Schultz? Miss Wasserman Schultz, aye. Mrs. Watson Coleman? Mrs. Watson Coleman, aye. Mr. Womack? Mr. Zinke? Mr. Zinke, no.
Are there members wishing to record or change their vote? Gentleman from South Carolina.
Mr. Clyburn, aye.
Gentleman from Georgia.
Mr. Bishop, aye.
Gentleman from West Virginia.
Mr. Moore, no.
Gentleman from New York. The gentleman's not recorded.
Mr. Morelli, aye.
Gentlelady from Nevada. I do not believe the gentlelady is
No.
recorded.
She's recorded as a no.
Oh, you're recorded as a no. Okay.
Off no on aye for Miss Lee.
Gentleman from Florida.
Mr. Diaz-Balart, no.
Okay.
Mr.
Are there
Womack.
other, where?
Mr. Womack.
Gentleman from Arkansas.
Mr. Womack, no.
This Carmine's food is really messing up the balloting. Are there any other members wishing to record or change their vote? Not, the clerk will tally. Gentleman from New York.
Mr. LaLota votes no.
On this vote, the ayes are 26, the noes are 32. The amendment is not adopted.